Hello, and thanks for tuning in. Today, I'm really pleased to present a recording of a conversation that I had with Adam Hollander on Wednesday, March 30th. You may know Adam as a member of the Bored Apes or the Lazy Lions communities, or even the NFT Worlds community. He's also, together with Blockchain Brown, a co-founder in the White Sands project that is currently being built on NFT Worlds. Adam is also a champion of all things connected to really Web3. He has appeared on national television, on CNBC and Fox News and others. And he really goes on to raise awareness and educate people about what he calls the inevitability of the coming metaverse and in NFTs in general. And as you'll hear in the conversation that we had, he is really, really passionate about the metaverse and wants to be a really big contributing member of the community that's emerging in the broader metaverse. We talked about a variety of topics, including how Adam got started with NFTs. He shares some advice for people who are new to the space, but how they might think about starting their journeys. We talked at quite a bit of length about NFT Worlds and what led him to really be bullish on the project and what ultimately led him to make a pretty sizable investment in the project. We also talked about how he found White Sands and what led him to presently be so involved in that project that he is co-founding with Blockchain Brown. He shared his vision for White Sands and its role in the emerging metaverse, and that is really quite inspiring and really exciting. And lastly, he talked a little bit about the second NFT project that he's involved in, Hungry Wolves project. So lots to digest. Just the usual disclaimers. Please note that nothing in this video should be taken as financial advice. So please, as always, do your own research. For full disclosure, I do have positions in NFT Worlds as well as White Sands, the White Sands project. So with that, let's get into it. I hope that you find what Adam has to share to be of value. Here's Adam. All right. Hi, Adam. Good afternoon for you. I'm doing well, thanks. Had a busy day today. I saw the interview on Fox this morning. I'm sure you've had a lot of comments in your DMs and Twitter for the conversation that you had with the anchors.
Hopefully, you're going to be a little nicer to me than those anchors were.
I promise you, I will not call anything you're doing ridiculous.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah.
But I've seen my timeline, and certainly some of the groups that I'm involved in chat have been very complimentary about the way you handle things. And I actually watched it with my wife over breakfast, and she was like, wow, he's so calm and grounded and poised. And I think you did a nice job of moving them along from what they started to then even wanting to, potentially check out your space in White Sands. So thank you for all that you do, I think, to promote and represent the space.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. So I know you've been very busy, and you've sort of launched two projects the last 45 days, and we talk about how things move fast in the space, but gosh, they move really, really fast for you. But maybe we can take a little bit further back and just tell us a little bit about how you actually got into the NFT space.
So the first NFT I ever minted was a crypto kitty about 4.5 years ago. And so I'm proud to be able to say that. But if I'm being honest, I didn't realize what it was, or at least what it represented at the time. I minted it because, I owned Ethereum and Bitcoin, and I saw this novelty, and I thought it would be cool to, have a digital picture of a cartoon cat. And then I forgot about it for 4 years, and it sat rotting in my wallet along with, a bunch of other crypto kitty babies that resulted from the first one. It wasn't until mid last year when I started reading about digital real estate, and I came upon Decentraland, and I thought it was kind of cool, almost similar to the crypto kitty. It was novel, and I said, well, maybe I'll buy a plot of land, and so I did. And then the next day I had buyer's remorse because I started doing more research and I realized I had really bought in the wrong place. And I really wanted to buy this other piece of land. And so I put the first one up for sale and it sold that day for $4,000 more than I had paid for it the previous. And then I kind of eyebrow goes up and I'm like, I wonder if I could do that again. And so I bought a new piece of land, but then I immediately put it up for sale. And the same thing happened by the next day.
Wow.
And that was the moment where I took a step back and I said, okay, there's something going on here. I really need to better understand this. And like I do in just about any facet of my life, I started doing lots of research and I started reading a lot more. I jumped into Discords and I started talking to people. And that led me down a rabbit hole where I just kept hearing the same thing over and over and over again. I kept hearing Bored Ape Yacht Club. And so then I started looking into that. And it was the same weekend that they had released Mutants. And so there was a lot of buzz going around Bored Apes at the time. And so I said to myself, well, maybe I could do the same thing that I just did with that virtual land with these new mutants, that are part of this project. And so I bought one and then I flipped it and I made a bunch of money. And then I bought another one and I flipped it. But then through that experience, I was spending more and more time in the Bored Ape Discord. And I started kind of coming to this realization that wow, this is a real community. It reminded me a lot of the days when I was playing like EverQuest and World of Warcraft and I was in guilds. And I started, I think, really beginning to understand the community aspect of what it was like to participate in these kinds of projects. And so for those that have known me for a long time, I tend to jump in with both feet. And so once I decided that I actually think I want to be part of this, that it's not just about, flipping these things and, finding this new creative way to make money, I decided to go out and buy my ape. And I spent 32 ETH on it, which was a lot of money for me at the time. But I said, what the hell? I'm going to, get on this moving train. And then I tweeted about it. And at the time I had 200 followers on Twitter. And I had amassed those over a 10-year period before that. And so within a day and a half, I had thousands of people, and the amount of enthusiasm from that one post, it really propelled me. It solidified in my mind. I said, there's something here. This doesn't happen with normal things. And I just couldn't believe, how many people were saying, welcome to the club. We're so happy to have you here. I looked at your background. I see you, sold a company to Microsoft. I'd love to learn more about it. Hey, can we do a call next week? And I started realizing oh my God, this is, a locked community of people that are just genuinely passionate about this thing that connects them all together. And so it was that point that, I really sunk deep into NFTs. And then I started saying, well, what else is out there? And I, started buying Lazy Lions and Cool Cats and Gutter Cat Gang and, virtually every major project in the space, because I just wanted to immerse myself in all of it. And I made a lot of bad decisions too. I bought a bunch of terrible projects. I lost a bunch of money, but you learn through that experience. And that was when I think really decided that I wanted to contribute to the space, not just participate, because throughout all of this, I came to the realization, it hit me like a ton of bricks. I said, oh my God, NFTs are proof of ownership of a digital asset. And with my background in, entrepreneurial life and all the roles that I've held throughout my professional career, that stuck with me. I couldn't sleep at night thinking about all of the implications across so many different markets about being able to infallibly prove ownership of a digital asset. And the fact that, collectibles and art are just the very, very tip of the iceberg. And then I started realizing, with the community aspect of NFTs and where they are, that this is the first time in my entire life that anything even remotely emotionally represented or resembled what I used to have when I played World of Warcraft and EverQuest and those MMOs. And I don't have time for them anymore, but I wish I did. My memories of leading raid groups of 72 people in EverQuest, for hours and hours at a time, every single night of the week, back in college and prior. I mean, those are some of the, sounds silly to say it, but coolest, happiest memories I have in my life. And sure. It's really hard to replicate that in almost any other way. You can't explain it to people in any other way. And so what it really comes down to is that I recognized how special the NFT space was. And then when I started to really take a step back and look at, we've got 400,000 people on OpenSea in any given month, and there are billions of people that could be participating in this in some shape or form, let alone the fact that these are the building blocks into an inevitable metaverse. I just made a very conscious decision that I wanted to invest as much of my time and my money and my life as I could into this thing, because I was just incredibly passionate about it. And so I started doing, news spots and, trying to educate people about NFTs. I, really pissed off a bunch of people in my real life that were used to talking to me about a variety of topics, but now every time we get together, all I'll talk about is NFTs. And I, of course, started my own, generative project, Hungry Wolves. I'm now involved with, White Sands as a metaverse. And other than the fact that, I'd love to spend a little more time with my wife and kids, I'd say that I really have found something that I'm genuinely excited about when I wake up in the morning. And that's, a blessing. It's something I think we all strive for.
Totally. I totally resonate with that. It's just the community aspect. Twitter for me is very different today than it was a year and a half ago, with the kind of people that I follow and interact with, and just the creativity and openness. So and I can't stop talking about NFTs either. So I totally resonate with that sort of excitement and enthusiasm for the work. So that is helpful. So you bought Bored Apes at 32, which was a great deal today, but still, it was a lot of money when you first got into it. With the space that it is today, Adam, what would you tell somebody who's new, who may not have 32 ETH to invest in a project? How should they think about getting into the NFT world?
Yeah, this is a really important question, because it's actually a really dangerous entry point. There are so many terrible projects being run by terrible people that are doing nothing other than making empty promises and stealing people's money. And beyond that, even when you buy into credible projects, if you don't secure your assets properly and you don't understand all of the nuances and aspects of the blockchain, then you run the risk of losing those assets outright. And it's really very scary. I think the thing that prevents NFTs from truly going mainstream, in the sense that we could have, hundreds of millions of people participating, is the fact that there's this aura around the space of, it's dangerous, it's full of hackers and people that are going to scam you. It's full of, terrible Ponzi scheme like projects that, are there for no other reason than to take your money. And the best advice that I could give anyone is that you really need to do your research. This isn't the kind of thing that you can just come in and make a quick decision and start buying up some NFTs and hope you're making good decisions. I mean, you can, but at that point, you might as well be buying a lottery ticket or, pulling a lever on a slot machine. You really need to do your research. Now, the fortunate thing is that there are so many places to do that. And so, NFT Twitter is this vibrant, generally incredibly positive place of people wanting to help. I mean, it's this like niche within the broader, just horrible market of social media. And, I love logging into Twitter like every single day, but that's because almost every single person I follow is just like, we're all going to make it, love NFTs. And I love that. I love participating in that. But there are people out there that are genuinely interested in helping people learn. Whenever you're looking at a particular project, they have a Discord associated. Jump in the Discord, start talking to people and getting real information as to why they bought into the project, not why they're just hoping the floor price is going to moon the next day. At the end of the day, eventually you find influencers that you feel like you can genuinely trust. And that in and of itself is dangerous, because you don't know, people on the surface might seem like they're giving you, advice that comes from the heart, but really they're just being paid on the back end to shill whatever it is that is the new thing of the day. But eventually you find a handful of people that you believe you can genuinely trust, and then they're doing the research. I spent huge amounts of time just digging into projects. And in fact, NFT Worlds, what happened there was that
let's talk about that. NFT
I know that's something that you reached out to me on. So let's transition into it a bit. I bought a world very, very early, right after the free mint. And very much like my crypto kitty, I will tell you, I bought it purely out of FOMO and just novelty. I was going to participate in the free mint and I fell asleep and I missed it. And then I said, well, if this thing ever moons one day, I don't want to regret it. And so I went in and I paid 0.18 ETH for a very rare world, and I stuck it in my wallet, and I just left it there. I didn't do anything with it for months. And then I saw somebody that I trust on Twitter make a tweet about something. I to this day, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it triggered me to say, okay, well, I think I own one of those. Let me go dig into the project. And I finally went in and I started reading the documentation. And I went in and I started listening to people in the Discord and starting to ask some questions. And I kept having these moments where I just said, that can't be right. Like, that's too good to be true. I must not be fully understanding what this thing actually is. I kept hearing things in, the Discord about how every single world is, thousands of times the size of, plots in the sandbox or Decentraland. I kept hearing about how the worlds can truly be interconnected together in terms of overarching travel, as well as their economic foundation with World Token. I was hearing about how World Token could be transferred gaslessly. I was hearing about just a variety of things related to the project. And like I said, it just seemed too good to be true. I said, well, if it was really all this, then they wouldn't be selling for like 2.5 ETH. So what am I missing? And so I reached out to Temp Tranquil, one of the co-founders of NFT Worlds. And people don't understand that, these projects, even the high profile projects, like the founders are relatively accessible. And so, I was, grabbing a beer with, Asher from Lazy Lions a couple of weeks ago. And at the end of the day, these people, they're put on pedestals to some extent. I mean, I even feel like sometimes people do that to me, but we're all just people. We're accessible. We're just trying to innovate in the space, just like, CEOs of startups. And so I reached out to Temp and he responded to me. And I said, hey, can we do a phone call? I'd love to meet you. I'd love to talk about the project. I've got some questions and some healthy skepticism. Could you, help me wrap my head around this? And we did a call the next day for about an hour and a half. And by the end of it, I was more bullish than I could possibly have imagined. Not only did he confirm everything that I was skeptical about, but then he shared some things with me about the Faucet program and, the way they were going to be granting World to, spur innovation in the space. And I just couldn't believe what I was hearing. And I thought that I had found just like the diamond in the rough. And so I immediately went out and spent a relatively ludicrous amount of money on Worlds. I then started screaming from the rooftops on my Twitter, you guys are missing the point. You all need to start looking into this. You have no idea what this is. Why are you all spending your money on cartoon animals when the future of the metaverse is like staring you right in the face? And some people listened.
The timing of your purchase was amazing, because I think you went in with 50 or so. There was, I think, Grail. There was, I think, 2 other groups went in, and it was just this, all of a sudden, the floor went from 3 to 5, just like that. And it just kept going higher and higher after that. So that's why I asked you, I said, how did you, sure, you were convinced, but the timing was just like something had happened and everybody was coming in with size.
Well, I joke with people based on that timing, because, within about a week and a half, it went from 2.5 ETH to like 17 ETH. And it was just this astronomical rise in the floor price. And I started joking with people. I was like, I can move markets with my.
You can move markets.
This is interesting, but that's not really what happened. What really happened is a lot of people woke up all at the same time and started doing their research. Yeah. It was there the whole time, but it was complicated. It wasn't like a typical cartoon infographic roadmap that you could read in 30 seconds and just understand. You needed to spend a few hours really wrapping your head around what this platform really was, this technology. And there aren't a lot of people in our space that candidly are willing to do their research. I mean, it drives me crazy sometimes that, I'll say one specific thing about my Hungry Wolves project, and yet months later, people won't have, even read the one really important thing that, I wrote out there that we're doing. Getting people to invest hours into, dozens of pages of documentation, like they're just most of the time not going to do it. Even today, the people that own NFT Worlds, I bet most of them have no idea what they have. They bought it speculatively, just like they would buy any other NFT asset. And they're lucky because they have something really, really special sitting in their wallet, but they probably don't fully understand why that's the case. And so, with NFT Worlds, the thing that just blows my mind more than anything, the thing that was so incredibly smart of Arc and Temp, was that they built it on top of the Minecraft engine. And The Minecraft engine, I mean, there's 170 million people that play Minecraft every single month. The platform has had hundreds of millions of dollars of investment that's gone into it. It's owned by Microsoft, and as a result is supported on Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, Oculus, your computer, mobile devices. And out of the gate, the things that you build and innovate on NFT Worlds, they're just incredibly ludicrously accessible. And isn't that what's going to make a metaverse a metaverse? Otherwise, if there's nobody caring about something, it's just a boxed in video game. And that's fine. You can create a really cool video game. But when you get hundreds of millions of people participating, that's what makes a metaverse. Yeah. When you get thousands of people and companies and projects all innovating simultaneously on the same platform, and you have an interconnection, not just geographically to move between them, but the economic foundation based on world token, that's an example of a real open and interconnected metaverse. And I personally believe that NFT Worlds is the best chance that we have. This is our, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're our only hope. This is our hope for a metaverse. All of the other platforms, there's too much friction. There's too much in the way for them to go truly mainstream in any reasonable amount of time. And that's what makes me so passionate about being able to build on this incredible platform. And then, the story I've told lots of times with White Sands was when I realized all this about NFT Worlds, I took a step back and I said, okay, I don't want to just invest my ETH here. I want to invest my time. I've spent my whole life as a serial entrepreneur. I have a lot that I think I can offer, and I want to figure out a way to work on something here. And I started looking at all the projects in the space, and I started reaching out to founders to learn more about what they were doing and what they were building. And one of the things that I found was this nascent Twitter page called White Sands Islands. And it was run by Blockchain Brown, had very few followers at the time, but it had a handful of these, what seemingly were like artistic renders of these incredible looking modern villas that said they were going to be on NFT Worlds. And that didn't make sense to me. Because when I looked at these things, I was like, well, it's obviously not Minecraft. So what are these things? Like, did he hire somebody to build renderings, and what's he really going to do? And so I reached out to him. I was like, this looks great. I want to get on the whitelist for whatever you're building, but hey, can we get on a call and talk about it? I'd like to learn more. And the first thing I asked him was, I said, so, what are these renders? What's it actually going to look like when this is all said and done? And he goes, well, those aren't renders. Those are screenshots of the world. And I said, well, what do you mean? That's not Minecraft right there. Minecraft doesn't look like that. And he goes, oh, it can. And he starts explaining to me, texture packs and shader packs and mods and resource packs and all of the things that you can do if you get really amazing master builder level people to create for you in Minecraft. And that's when my head just exploded. That was the last piece of the puzzle. It was like, okay, well, we have this, open and interconnected metaverse that has world token that can be transferred gaslessly as its economic foundation, and it can be used on a variety of devices, 170 million people that already have access to it, but it still looks like Minecraft. Okay, I can get past that. I still think it's going to be awesome. Sandbox looks like Minecraft. But when I saw what can actually be done, then all of a sudden I said, there's something just mind-blowing happening here. People don't understand it yet. And so then we, of course, spent hours and hours together brainstorming. I came on board as a co-founder of the project, and we're doing some really, really exciting stuff there. It gives me generating
a lot of buzz. I mean, you're one of the hottest projects right now on White Sands, and the announcement on Monday was massive with Stellar Dev. So congratulations on all the moves that you're making. So April is opening.
April is opening.
What are we going to get in April when the launch formally happens?
So when the launch happens, the 3,000 islets will be live, and you'll be able to go and either live in the home that we give you on the islet. You can customize it, or you can knock it down entirely and build anything that your imagination can come up with. And you're going to have the ability to reset. You're going to have admin controls where you decide who has access, who can edit on top of your parcel. The 250 people that purchase our villas, our first master planned community, where the mint will go live within a matter of weeks, they'll have immediate access to their entire homes, and they can begin to customize those and have the same kinds of controls. And then, of course, there's going to be interconnection in terms of the roads and some of the world in between. we then are going to start rolling out pieces of the rest of the world. And so customizations like furniture and pets and moving vehicles, as well as experiences on the main island, both those that we create on our own, as well as those that we partner with other brands or celebrities or otherwise. And we've got a variety of pretty exciting discussions that are happening right now. And I can't share anything yet, but I think people are going to be really excited when, hopefully, knock on wood, some of these things get solidified. And what I'm also really excited about is the connection to some of these other major projects in the space, because we said from the very beginning that we want there to be special places inside of White Sands for blue chip projects, as well as projects that have other connections to White Sands, like my Hungry Wolves community that I'm extremely passionate about. And so by holding a Bored Ape or a Hungry Wolf or a Cool Cat or whatever it might be, maybe there's some utility inside of our world. Maybe there are places that you can access that you wouldn't be able to access otherwise, or maybe there's other implications. And so we're bringing on a lot of really smart people right now to brainstorm around these kinds of things and to figure out what makes sense to do and in what order, because we now have a lot of resources that are available to us. We're going to be rolling out our Launchpad program, which is essentially like an incubator where we're going to handpick other doxed founders that are credible and have really impressive background and really good ideas and that we genuinely believe are going to be able to execute. We're going to help them with resources and the launch of those projects, the interconnections to White Sands, so that we can really raise up the entire space and the foundation. And so, yeah, there's just a lot of really exciting stuff happening.
There's a lot going on.
That means that I get to wake up every day and have really amazing conversations with really amazing people that are going to go and execute this pretty grand vision that we have of being the nucleus of the entire metaverse that sits on top of NFT Worlds, with these 10,000 different worlds that hopefully eventually become interconnected as a part of it.
Can you share what you think White Sands looks like at the end of the year? This year, is there a intermediate vision, or we have to wait for that?
You're not going to recognize, I'll tell you that much. I don't think people recognize, it was funny when we made the announcement about Stellar Dev and, the idea that we're going to have up to 50 people working every single day developing this metaverse. I don't think that landed with a lot of folks. I don't think that people necessarily understand that the majority of projects in our space have a small handful of people waking up every day to work on them. And with the expectations that are set in the space for the velocity of how projects need to continue to announce and innovate just to keep people's attention, what's so exciting to me is I think we have a chance to actually keep up. It's hard in other projects to keep up with the, very unrealistic expectations of having major announcements, major partnerships, major releases, major airdrop, like every single week. Otherwise, people lose interest. They move on to the next shiny thing. One day they're, selling their soul for a whitelist spot, and the next day they're paper handing it for half the price because they want to buy the next thing that they, saw on their Twitter feed. And, it's actually a very arguably stressful space to run a business. But at the same time, it's also very rewarding. It moves faster than any other market I've ever personally been a part of. And that's what gives us the ability to innovate at the level that we are. And so I think what it's going to look like at the end of the year is we're going to have a vast world full of dozens, if not hundreds, of high quality experiences. We're going to have dozens of different ways that you can call the metaverse your home, whether it be condo buildings or tree houses or underwater housing or whatever it might be. And I think you're going to really see it not just as like some master plan real estate thrown onto an NFT world. You're going to see it as this like bustling universe that is interconnected with dozens, hundreds of other incredible experiences, many of which we had a hand in helping to create through our Launchpad and our incubator. We're building $1 billion company here. I really believe that in my soul. And I think it's really exciting to be able to work on this. I mean, Ready Player One is one of my favorite books I've ever read. And never in my wildest dreams did I believe that like I could have a hand in building something that could, be the beginnings of like an oasis. And it feels like just an unbelievable blessing and a privilege to be in a position to wake up every day and get to work on things this exciting.
Wow, that is an awesome vision. Now you've bought, I don't know how many worlds you bought. It's been $1.25 million. So is there plans to develop all of these? I mean, obviously it's going to take time, but is that part of it? Or you're obviously focusing on the first one, but is it going to be similar type of
so the interesting thing about NFT World, so we own 36 of them as a project, and they're all staked. They're earning world token, and that world token is essentially being sent directly to all of our Genesis holders as soon as we get the tech up to do that. And so 100% of it is being dispersed. What people don't realize about NFT Worlds is that when you look at the NFT and you see the little 3D image of the world, a little town or a mountain or a lake, that represents roughly 1/50,000th of the total available land to build on inside of that world. It's almost infinite. And so from that perspective, there is no reason to build on multiple worlds. You see projects saying like, we bought 5 worlds and we're going to develop all of them. Right. Those are people that actually don't really understand what they have with the one most of the time. Now, the one exception to that is that there are some global parameters that exist when you host a world on a server, and certain types of experiences, you might want to change those settings, or they might be in conflict with what you might want to do with something else. And so there might be reasons why we want to put certain types of things on one world versus another. And so we at least have the ability to do that when and if we want to. It might even make sense to do that purely from, server capacity and otherwise as we, move forward and figure out how to scale this from thousands to 10,000s to millions, et cetera. But what I will say is that owning all of those worlds at today's price point, I also believe is just a really good investment for the project, because if we ever decide that we do want the flexibility to do things like that, even if it's a matter of just partnering with, other major brands to create experiences and they want it to be on a separate world for, legal purposes or otherwise, we have that flexibility. And I think that's important to do that at the onset before what I inevitably think is going to happens, which is a just unbelievable supply shock of the total available worlds.
Sure. One other question for you around the meta virtual worlds. Since you're an ape, what is your take on the other side and the project that's coming? How is that going to shape out? Is it a ways away? How does it interact with NFT Worlds? Is there something that in your crystal ball you see how that all shaping out in the year or two to come?
Look, I simply don't think we know yet. I'm always bullish on Bored Ape Yacht Club, and I love to be surprised and delighted, and I hope that the other side turns out to be a magnificent success. I think that just like with social media, where the origins, you had MySpace and Friendster and Facebook and Twitter, and even today you've got LinkedIn and TikTok and Instagram. There's going to be multiple metaverses that are used for different purposes that attract different audiences and personas. And I don't believe, at least for a very long time, that we'll be in a position where we truly have like an oasis from Ready Player One, where you have 6 billion people, on the exact same platform. And so I hope that what they're doing is successful. I'm sure that it will be differentiated in its own way. Right now, I don't think we have a lot of information on it. And so just like a lot of things that happen with Bored Ape Yacht Club that are very secretive until the moment that they're not, I think we know a little bit from a leaked PowerPoint presentation that we heard from the founders was actually not even the final version of what is actually going to go live. And so I'm not really commenting on it yet, other than I, of course, wish it nothing but success. I'm sure I will own land in it. I will spend ApeCoin in it. My ape will have its home in multiple different metaverses. White Sands will, of course, be its primary, but we'll have to just see what happens when they decide to launch it.
Okay. Well, lots of things. Anything finally you want to add? Maybe something about your Hungry Wolves project that people might not know about? I know you had an AMA yesterday on that. Yeah.
So this was a really big week for Hungry Wolves. We finally rolled out our Eat Sheep functionality. For those that don't know, if you own Hungry Wolves, you get airdropped scrumptious sheep and little lambs of different rarity into your wallet every single month on the full moon in real life when they go out and hunt, so to speak. And we've said all along that the reason they're Hungry Wolves is because you're going to be able to eat those sheep to earn dominance. And when you earn dominance, you're going to be able to use that in a variety of other game mechanics to challenge other wolves, to swap metadata, rank, and traits, to upgrade your NFT. to compete as wolf packs, which are essentially guilds in the context of the game. And we've released some of that functionality, but all of it was predicated on this incredibly complicated feature of allowing you to burn your NFTs to earn dominance and then attribute that dominance not just to the wallet, but to the specific wolf NFTs in the other collections, and have that tracked in a database in such a way that it supports all of our mechanics. And that went live this week. And so we're really freaking excited about it. We also just yesterday released the first previews of our Hungry World, which is being built on NFT Worlds, where you're going to be able to go in and actually hunt sheep in a virtual scavenger hunt that happens 24/7, where they're showing up all over this massive world that we've created. And when you earn enough sheep in that version, it's going to mint NFTs directly into your wallet of 8-bit Minecraft sheep and little lambs that you'll then be able to eat in our core mechanics and apply to other aspects of the game. And so we've got some really cool stuff going on at Hungry World. I still think that it's a very underrated project. Of course, I'm biased in saying so, but I am always going to have a foot into that project. It's going to be a big passion of mine permanently moving forward. I feel indebted to my wolves that supported me very early on in my NFT journey, and anything I do will involve wolves in some shape or form. And so, I would encourage people to go and check out the project, check out our Runts collection, which is completely free to mint. And then you can jump into the Discord and participate in some of these mechanics. You don't even have to pay to do it. We have an entire collection called Runts that is there for the sole specific purpose of giving people an entry point into NFTs that allows them to participate in an amazing community and really understand what this is like before they even decide to spend their ETH. And so, I think that's something.
This is the infinite supply, no cost. That's the Runts project. That's the Runts NFT. Okay. So the Runts is free. The wolves, you got to buy on the secondary. I think there's 6,000 of those.
You got it.
Perfect. Okay. A lot of innovation. Adam, thank you for taking the time. I think all of us in the NFT world community and others are really thrilled that you're a part of our world and all that you're doing, and wish you all the best. And I can't wait to see what my White Sands parcel looks like in April.
Sounds great.
Thank you and all the best.
Bye.
All right. Take care.